All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. My name is Robert Carroll. I'm the Chief of Staff here at 47G, Utah Aerospace and Defense. And I'm really excited about our webinar with NASA today. Michaela has very graciously joined us. We're grateful for her time. We also have Dylan with us from, I'll tell more about him in just a minute. But before we get into our two speakers today, I wanted to share a little bit about what we do over at 47G. So in Utah, aerospace and defense covers 20% of our economy. We also include cyber in there as it relates to national security. So it's a huge portion of what we do in our state. Many people in the past have been unaware of how significant this industry is and how many important stakeholders are involved. And so our job is to convene, promote, and advocate for Utah's aerospace, defense, and cyber companies. We've been doing this for the past year and a half or so. All the major defense primes are members of our organization. And I would say even more importantly, the small and mid-sized companies are members of 47G, helping build the world's premier ecosystem for aerospace, defense, and cyber. And so up on our screen here, you're seeing some of our members, industry partners, community members, government entities, and service providers. They all make up a really powerful consortium of the aerospace and defense industry, each one playing a very important role. So that's all I want to say today. Many on the call are members of this ecosystem. If you're not, and if you want to learn more or get involved, please reach out to me, Robert at 47g.org. I would like to now first turn the time over. Dylan Doty is going to share just a few words about what his office does. He is a program manager at the Utah Innovation Center, and they provide support for the specific topic we're talking about today, which is SBIR applicants, STTR applicants, and those who want to work with NASA or the Department of Defense or other federal agencies. So I'll give Dylan a couple minutes just to share a little bit more about what he does, and then I'll introduce our speaker from NASA. Over to you, Dylan.
Robert, thanks for the introduction. I just want to thank 47G for having us. So I'm with the Utah Innovation Center, and we are housed within the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity. We are the federal and state technology partnership program recipient for the state of Utah. So what we do is we try to help companies here in the state of Utah provide more awards to the state of Utah. We do outreach. One of the things that we do is we regularly host workshops. So we do an SBIR 101 every month, and that is for Utah companies to kind of get a better understanding of the SBIR STTR program. Periodically, we have agency-specific workshops. So we have one on the Department of Defense, the NSF, HHS, that's also a big SBIR STTR provider here in the state of Utah. We provide consultations, trainings, workshops, seminars. We provide direct proposal guidance and evaluation, some editing for the proposals that are sent to us. And one really cool thing that we provide for Utah companies is we also have micro grants that are available to first-time applicants. So anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. These proposals can take a lot of time and effort to get together. So, sometimes that micro grant money can help offset the cost of proposal preparation. And we also have a non-recourse loan that's going to help bridge the gap between a phase 1 and a phase 2 for a lot of these awards. So I just want to introduce myself and say we have a resource here in the state that is free to Utah companies. We have just a wide range of experience in all the agencies. I know today is NASA. We've heard amazing things about NASA. Michaela, thanks for being here. So please reach out to me. My email is ddoty@utah.gov. I'm sure we can also find me in the chat or whatever else. We'd love to connect with you and provide any resources that we may be able to give you. So Robert, thank you for the time and thanks for having me today.
Dylan, thank you so much. That's a great overview and such a great resource and asset for our companies here in Utah. So certainly reach out to Dylan, ddoty@utah.gov. Like he said, find him in the chat. The chat will be going today. The Q&A will be going today. Let me make sure real quick that those are enabled. Looks like they both are. So feel free to use those throughout the session today. And Dylan, I'll change your role to an attendee. Thanks for being with us here today. Real quick, I want to introduce Michaela. It's awesome that we're getting some time with her. Michaela is the communications director at NASA Technology Transfer Expansion. So the NASA Technology Program, NASA Technology Tech Transfer Program is really awesome and something that we're going to learn more about today from Michaela. She's going to basically give us an introduction on how we can in Utah take advantage of all of the technology that NASA has made public for use by citizens in the US and companies here. So I will turn the time over to her. I think she has some slides to share with us. Please use the Q&A or chat to ask questions along the way, but we'll save time at the end for Michaela to actually answer those questions. So thank you again for being with us, Michaela. Thank you, everyone, all the participants who joined with today, and I'll turn the time over to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yep, sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Welcome, everyone. My name is Michaela McShane. I'm the Communications Director for NASA's Technology Transfer Expansion Program, which is a sort of a sub-initiative within the overall technology transfer program, which I'm going to talk about on a fairly high level. I want to leave as much time at the end as possible for questions to make sure that the information that we discuss here is as valuable and tailored to your specific needs as possible. So I'm going to quickly cover our technology transfer program, talk a little bit about what the expansion T2X does to augment that, and touch on SBIR and STTR and the associated programs briefly. So go ahead and get into it. So NASA Technology Transfer is all about taking government-developed technology that was funded with taxpayer dollars that you've already paid for and finding a way to get it back into industry to support the economy, create opportunities for innovation, and specifically drive innovation in small businesses. So one of the ways that we do that is to kind of embed in ecosystems, find places where there is value proposition alignment, technology vertical alignment, and see if there is interest in the small business community in leveraging NASA developed technology to either maybe create a new product offering in the existing small business, launch a whole new startup from an existing area, or just to kind of shortcut that R&D process and take some technology that has already been developed and tested by the federal government and bring it into something you're already doing to make it better, smoother, faster. So one of the ways that you can find all the technology that we have is via our website. It's going to be in the bottom right-hand corner of the whole presentation, but it's technology.nasa.gov. And our entire patent portfolio is available virtually online, as well as a software catalog. We don't patent software. I don't think anybody really does. So our software is all available for free request. Some of it is behind a security wall where you have to be a federal government contractor, but that's a really small percentage. So most of it is just free available for your use. The patent portfolio itself is, let's see if I have it here. Yes, it's organized into a number of categories. There are about 1,000 patented NASA developed technologies that you can search through here, and the licensing process is fairly straightforward. I'll get into a little bit of the details about that in a moment, but essentially the process looks like an inventor at one of NASA's 10 field centers creates something, and then it goes through a review process in the Technology Transfer Office to decide, one, is it novel? Is it patentable? And two, should we patent it? Patenting is a time-consuming and expensive process, so we don't just patent everything that we invent. It has to be something that is, one, patentable, and two, has some legitimate novel commercial application. So the team does a pretty thorough review of the current industry, what's out there, the state of the art, and then decides ultimately, is this worth the time and effort to patent it? And is there a good chance that someone out in industry wants to use this thing? Again, software catalog organized much the same way, and free available access to US citizens. So the Technology Transfer Expansion Program that I mentioned is, again, an arm of tech transfer. And our focus specifically is early stage entrepreneurship. So looking at startups, looking at nascent small businesses, or even just companies that want to kind of have a more have a startup feel with a new department, which is becoming a fairly common practice among new companies. We offer a no-cost startup license to individuals who are coming in as a startup. So that's basically the chance to kick the tires, test the technology, see if it works for what you think it'll work for. There's truly no commitment with it. It's 3 years to play around and see if it works for you. And then if it does, and you decide that it would be valuable to your organization, then you come back and talk about a commercial license. We also have this available for or a version of this available for non-startups. It's a research license with a very small one-time upfront fee that can be waived in certain circumstances. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. A licensing process is really straightforward. You'd search the patent portfolio that I outlined, apply through Atlas, which is our application service set up very much like TurboTax. So it kind of just walks you through a questionnaire form. And then you negotiate the terms of the license with the individual center where the license originated, and then hopefully go off and create an exciting new product. Okay, so the reason that I know most of you are here is to talk about SBIR. So I'm going to talk through various programs in NASA-specific SBIR. But first I want to say that Tech Transfer and SBIR are very much sister programs within NASA, and they are not like mutually exclusive. So you could theoretically license a technology from NASA, create a new product with it, and then, if appropriate, turn that back around and submit the startup that's based on that company for an SBIR. There's no like conflict of interest there. So just something to be aware of, that you can double dip, so to speak, and be involved in both programs. So with that out of the way. So SBIR funds the research and development of innovative technologies that fulfill NASA needs. So what does that mean? Essentially, every year we put out a call for things that we need, basically. It's really expensive to do your own research and development and very time consuming, and we would rather pull it in than create it ourselves. The reason that any of the technologies get created in-house is because it didn't exist anywhere else. So when we can fill the need this way, we like to. Also, NASA and I think all federal government agencies have a charter to help support innovation in small businesses. So that is another positive there. So we'll talk briefly through the 3 phases of SBIR. The ideation phase is 6 months to a year and has an award amount of about $125,000. And this will vary depending on which organization. Most federal government agencies, the big ones, do SBIR. So I'm specifically talking about NASA. But these award amounts and the phase time lengths do vary based on whether or not you're looking at NASA, DoD, DOE, et cetera. So different phases, different time periods, and different award amounts based on those time periods. We also have a new, I'm going to come back to this, but this SBIR Ignite, this is a fairly new program within the SBIR office. So this is focused specifically on early stage, high risk technology development. And this has a lot of resources associated with it. I can talk more kind of at the end in a question and answer format, but I just want to make everybody aware of this kind of as I think they're calling it like phase 0, kind of a precursor to the SBIR program. And it's specifically focused on more high risk technology that might not have been as attractive in the previous form. So going back, the solicitation is available as of today. So excellent timing on this webinar, and I don't think that was accidental. But yeah, so the solicitation for SBIR and STTR is available starting today, and it will close in March. And then I believe the awardees will be announced sometime in early June. I don't think I talked about this yet, but SBIR stands for Small Business Innovation Research. STTR is the university arm of that. So that's it's more or less the same thing, but you have to be partnered with a university. Another kind of sub-program within SBIR is I-Core, which focuses specifically on kind of amplifying the mission of innovation and entrepreneurship in small businesses. And what this is it's a training program. So much like Dylan spoke about at the beginning, how there's the Utah-specific resources available, this is to help small businesses learn about lean startup methodology and just various types of business course specific training. So again, can talk more about this in detail in a question and answer format, but I want to make everybody aware of this NASA specific program as well. And I believe this is also in partnership with NSF. Deviating a little bit, I'm going to cover a couple quick points on some non-tech transfer SBIR related topics that might be of interest to the audience, but I'm going to just kind of touch on these very quickly, and we can talk in Q&A if there's interest in this region. So we do work heavily with universities at Technology Transfer Expansion because we're focused on embedding in ecosystems and becoming part of the entrepreneurial community, and we see universities as a big hub of those communities. So I want to highlight a couple university programs before we get into Q&A. MURAP is our it is a minority serving institution technology transfer idea competition. So students from minority serving institutions can apply to be to participate in this competition and win prize money, essentially. And then I'm going to come back to that. This is our technology transfer in the classroom. We call it T2U, Technology Transfer University. Two Utah universities already participate in this program, and that's actually sort of how I got connected with 47G in general. But what we do is we work with a professor who runs really any kind of program. It's usually business entrepreneurship, but not always. The program we have with Utah State University is the outdoor product and design major. So that's not really entrepreneurship focused at all. But the idea is that the students will take a look at the NASA portfolio, pick out a technology that is of interest to them, and then the professor incorporates that in whatever makes sense for their classroom. Often it's some sort of capstone project where they ideate around some sort of business case for the technology or a theoretical design process or how they might incorporate it into an existing product offering. It's really however the instructor wants to structure it. But it's a really, really cool program. We have this at over 50 universities across the country in more than half of the states. So would love to talk to anybody about this as well if there is any university personnel on the line. Oops, I'm going to go back. The last thing I will talk about is we are, like I said, we're looking to be a sustained presence within these entrepreneurial ecosystems. We want to be a resource for small businesses, but we also want to be a resource for other resources for small businesses. And what I mean by that is we're trying to connect with other people who are doing this work and see if we can bolster what we're all doing. So just putting that out there that we are really open to collaborative efforts, and that is a big part of why we're doing this work, to get outside the gates, so to speak, of the 10 NASA field centers across the country and get involved in regions that have not typically had a NASA presence in the past and do this economic development, innovation type work. So with that, I will open it up to questions and leave my contact information on the screen. And then we can do a bit of a web crawl if relevant. Robert, I'm not sure how we're planning to do the question section.
Yeah, thanks, Michaela. This was super enlightening. We do have one small question. Is this
Sure.
are these slides something that we can have on our end?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, good. So as a bit of like a PSA from 47G, so we are this webinar is recorded, so you'll be able to review the webinar at any point. We will send it out through our newsletter. We'll also post it to our website. One of the participants here on the call today is our research fellow. So Camden has prepared a resource article that will go on our website. And actually, Camden, if you're in a position to do so, I'll pull you on just for a minute, and if you could tell us a little bit about that. And in addition to that article, we'll post these slides as a link there. So you should be able to review those at any time.
Mm-hmm.
So Camden, if you have a minute to say just kind of what that article should look like and what the resource will look like on our website, feel free to jump on. We can see you, but I can't hear you yet. I think you're good now.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, thanks, Rob. So on the two articles that we're working on, we have one both on SBR and the NASA Tech Transfer Program. So these will have kind of helpful hyperlinks with resources full of kind of the general patentlets that NASA has to offer, as long as the general software. So it should just be a great place to go to if you want to, just find a specific hyperlink for something, or just kind of get a general rundown of the program. I think Michaela did a great job in explaining how the program works, and that's kind of the goal of the article, just to give a rundown of what it is. So yeah, it should be coming in the next week. So yeah.
Good. Thank you so much. So yeah, for, if someone that missed this webinar and wants to, gather this information, there will be multiple ways to do that. So a recording of the webinar, the slides that Michaela shared, and then the research article, the resource that will be on our website with links to both the webinar and the slides. So hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully, that can give you all the information you need, but would love to hear if there are any other questions from the audience. It looks like we do have one. Looks like we have two. So Michaela, I'll read these off to you if you don't mind taking a stab at them. Do you have any recommendations on how best to communicate with NASA program managers or topic authors? First question. So getting in touch personally with those NASA program managers, topic authors.
I guess it kind of depends which program. I would offer to go ahead and use me as a first point of contact, and then I can sort of direct your question from there. NASA is a massive organization. So if the person you're trying to contact is sort of within the SBIR technology transfer world, then I can probably easily direct your question or maybe answer it myself. If it's something totally different, then that might take a little more doing. But yeah, I would say any like NASA contact you have, in this case myself, just go ahead and like forward the question there, and then we will do our best kind of collectively to get that answered. We try to discourage people from reaching out directly to, when you say if product authors, I'm assuming you maybe mean like the people who created the patents. The technology transfer office usually tries to be the main conduit there and answer all questions related to that, so that they can keep the focus on innovating and developing technology. That being said, if you are actually applying for a technology patent, that's a slightly different story, and then you'll work with the office there, and they can sort of manage that relationship however they see fit.
Thanks, Michaela. That's really helpful. And as a personal anecdote, I've applied for an Air Force SBIR contract, and the preparing the actual application was one of the easier parts of it, because we knew our product well, we knew what the application could be within the Air Force, we knew what the private sector applications could be. The hardest part was getting in touch with someone within the Air Force who could endorse our application, endorse our product, basically say, we'd be willing to use this. And so, going through this process with the NASA Technology Transfer Program, just having you as a point of contact, so that you can introduce members of the ecosystem here in Utah to the right people within NASA, that will just be a huge asset, and will hopefully save people the trouble that I went through when I did a similar process here. So to that end, I put your email address in the chat. I know it's here on the screen as well, but just so people can easily copy and paste your email address, it's right there in the chat.
Sounds good.
Another question we have for you, Michaela, can we get some more details about SBIR Ignite? Does phase 0 mean NASA is looking for ideas that have never been implemented?
I guess more what I meant by phase 0 is that it's kind of, it's not really part of like the phase 1 and 2 thing. It's sort of like something before. So the idea here, and this is a fairly new thing, like I said, is focused on more high risk technology areas. So it's to give people a little more confidence to pursue stuff that is like not necessarily validated, I suppose. I'm going to preface this with saying I don't work in the SBIR program, so this is not my like specific area of expertise. I am familiar with all of these different things, but to like get really granular, I'll have to reference the website. So that's exactly what I'm doing. The SBIR website, by the way, is a huge and massive resource, just with so much information, it can almost feel daunting. So I would say definitely do go visit it, but try not to get overwhelmed because there's just so much information there. But the SBIR Ignite page is pretty succinct.
Good. We might have lost Michaela just for a minute, but while she's rejoining, please throw any other questions in the Q&A or in the chat. I'm monitoring both, but I think that might be all that we have today. So feel free to throw those in while Michaela's rejoining, but if not, we'll wrap up shortly.
Sorry about that.
Michaela.
Yeah.
No worries. Welcome back. I actually think we're about wrapped up in terms of questions from the audience, and
Okay.
I really appreciate you spending time going through the slides and giving us an introduction to this. If you don't mind, we'll have folks reach out to you on LinkedIn and email. Is that best?
Yeah, definitely. And I'll send you the slides, and I'll make sure that everything I talked about is linked. Yeah, like I said, it's very much meant to be kind of an overview of different programs and like a menu offering. And I encourage everyone to sort of take that and then go do your own research and then come back with questions or interest areas.
Perfect. Well, thank you again. Really appreciate your time. Thanks everybody for joining today, and we'll see you on our next webinar.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.